Hello. Welcome to our another brand new video. In this video, we're going to describe you the full story of the Buddha and Beggar. Once upon a time, in a bustling city in ancient India, there lived a wealthy merchant who was known for his generosity. He was devout and followed the teachings of the Buddha. Every day, he would give alms to the poor and needy, ensuring that no one went hungry in his vicinity. One day, as the merchant was walking through the streets, he noticed a beggar sitting by the roadside. The beggar was old, frail, and looked extremely desolate. His clothes were tattered, and hunger was evident in his eyes. Feeling compassionate, the merchant approached the beggar and offered him some food and money. The beggar looked up at the merchant and said, "Thank you, kind sir, for your generosity. But I am curious, what makes you so willing to help a stranger like me?" The merchant smiled warmly and replied, "I follow the teachings of the Buddha, who taught us to practice generosity and compassion towards all beings." Upon hearing this, the beggar's eyes widened with curiosity. The Buddha? Who is this Buddha, and what are his teachings? The merchant then sat down beside the beggar and began to tell him about the life and teachings of the Buddha. He spoke of the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, and the importance of cultivating compassion and wisdom. As the merchant spoke, the beggar listened intently, his heart slowly opening to the wisdom of the Buddha's teachings. For years, he had lived a life of suffering and despair, but now he saw a glimmer of hope. After hearing about the Buddha's teachings, the beggar was filled with a newfound sense of purpose. He decided to leave his life of begging behind and embark on a spiritual journey to seek enlightenment. Years passed, and the once poor beggar became a revered monk, known for his wisdom and compassion. He traveled far and wide, spreading the teachings of the Buddha and helping those in need. One day, while on his travels, the monk returned to the city where he had once been a beggar. As he walked through the streets, he was approached by a wealthy merchant who recognized him. "Is it really you?" the merchant exclaimed in disbelief. "I cannot believe how much you have changed." The monk smiled gently and replied, "Yes, it is me. Thanks to the teachings of the Buddha, I have found peace and purpose in my life." The merchant was amazed by the transformation he saw in the former beggar. He invited the monk to his home and offered him food and shelter. As they sat together, the merchant listened intently as the monk shared his wisdom and insight. From that day on, the merchant became a devoted follower of the Buddha's teachings, inspired by the remarkable journey of the beggar who had found enlightenment. And so, the story of the Buddha and the beggar served as a reminder that no matter how humble our beginnings, we all have the potential for greatness within us. The monk continued his journey, spreading the teachings of compassion and wisdom wherever he went. Along the way, he encountered many challenges and obstacles, but he faced them with equanimity and grace, guided by the Buddha's teachings. As he traveled, the monk met people from all walks of life, from wealthy merchants to humble farmers, from kings to beggars. Each encounter deepened his understanding of human suffering and the universal desire for happiness. One day, while meditating in a serene forest, the monk had a profound realization. He understood that true happiness comes from within, not from external possessions or circumstances. With this realization, he experienced a profound sense of inner peace and contentment. Filled with gratitude, the monk continued his journey, sharing his newfound wisdom with all who would listen. His words touched the hearts of many, inspiring them to seek the path of enlightenment. Years passed, and the monk grew old, but his spirit remained undimmed. As he neared the end of his life, he gathered his disciples around him and imparted his final teachings. "Remember," he said, "the path to enlightenment is not an easy one. It requires dedication, perseverance, and above all, compassion. May you all continue to walk this path with courage and love." With these words, the monk peacefully passed away, his spirit merging with the boundless expanse of the universe. His disciples mourned his passing but took solace in the knowledge that his teachings would live on through them. And so, the story of the Buddha and the beggar came to a close, but its message continued to resonate throughout the ages. It served as a timeless reminder of the power of compassion, the quest for enlightenment, and the boundless potential within each and every one of us. In the years that followed, the city where the monk once begged underwent a transformation. Inspired by his teachings, people began to show more kindness and generosity towards one another. Poverty decreased, and a sense of community flourished. The former beggar's story became a legend in the city, passed down from generation to generation. His humble beginnings and eventual enlightenment served as a source of inspiration for countless individuals. Among those inspired was a young boy who had grown up in poverty, much like the beggar had. Determined to follow in the footsteps of the monk, the boy devoted himself to studying the Buddha's teachings. Years later, that young boy, now a man, became a respected teacher and spiritual leader in his own right. He traveled the world, spreading the message of compassion and wisdom to all who would listen. And so, the legacy of the Buddha and the beggar continued to ripple through time, touching the lives of countless beings. Their story served as a timeless reminder of the transformative power of compassion and the potential for enlightenment that lies within each and every one of us. The city where the former beggar once roamed was not the only place touched by his story. Word of his transformation spread far and wide, reaching distant lands and inspiring people from all walks of life. In a bustling market town nestled in the mountains, a weary traveler heard of the beggar-turned-monk. Intrigued, he sought out the teachings of the Buddha and found solace in their profound simplicity. As he journeyed through life, the traveler shared the wisdom he had gained with everyone he met. He became known as a wise sage, sought after by kings and commoners alike for his counsel. Among those he inspired was a young woman who had lost her way in the world. Through the traveler's guidance, she found purpose and direction, dedicating her life to serving others. In the twilight of her years, the woman established a shelter for the homeless and downtrodden, a beacon of hope in a world often overshadowed by darkness. Generations passed, and the stories of the beggar, the monk, the traveler, and the woman became intertwined, forming a tapestry of wisdom and compassion that spanned the ages. Their tales were retold in temples and villages, passed down from parent to child, a reminder of the enduring power of kindness and the transformative journey of the human spirit. And so, the story of the Buddha and the beggar continued to echo through the corridors of time, inspiring each new generation to seek the path of enlightenment and compassion. So, if you liked the video, then please like the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we bring more.